I'm a music producer, DJ. Yeah, that's kind of it, to be honest. I don't know. And this is MEMBLEM. You want to gas them up?
Yeah. Okay, so I just want to say congrats on the new release, Float. It was on March 28th, so just want to say that. If everybody wants to, have a round of applause. If you want to start.
You can just
so-
gas the man up.
Just want to say that MEMBLEM is on Spotify, of course. He has over 36,000 monthly listeners. There's 1 million streams in 171 countries all over the world. So this man is popular. What else? You got noticed by Denzel Curry, and then you won the battle with Kenny Beats. And then he also played a B2B with DJ Malik at Snake Eyes.
Yeah. Cool. So I guess because the topic of this conversation is how do you make it full-time as a musician? So I think what everyone would like to know here is how did you do it?
Yeah, so I'm Michael. I guess just first off, I've been in this room a bunch of times. I know it's really hard to hear in the back. So if everyone wants to just come forward, I'm just going to lay it all out there. So if you want to listen, then I'm all here. So do you want the long story or the short
Yeah,
story?
just explain it to me like I'm 3.
So basically, I always made music growing up. I liked electronic music. I grew up in Asia, where electronic music is super heavily favored, of course. And I moved to Toronto when I was 18. And basically, I gave up music. I really stopped making music because I didn't really make hip-hop music. None of my friends liked what I made. And so for a while there, like maybe 3 or 4 years, I just sort of thought music was never going to pan out until I started my chemistry degree. And I hated it. So I thought there was only one way out, which was to do music. I made music with a lot of friends. We just would drink and have fun, and it always started as just a hobby to have fun with. But when COVID started and you're alone in your house and you have nothing to do, I naturally got a Splice subscription and downloaded my legal version of Ableton and got right to it. And through that, I noticed that a lot of producers were participating in these online competitions run by this producer called Kenny Beats. He's really big in the hip-hop circle, and he's a really big advocate for producers, not just hip-hop artists, right? I saw a lot of the artists that I really liked growing up, like Hellberg from Monster Cat, participating in them, and Robotaki. So I decided to join them myself. And one super nervous, sweaty day later, I submitted my beat, and it ended up winning that day. And from then, it was sort of just like a nervous wreck of imposter syndrome and figuring my life out. So after the Kenny Beats battle, you would think that, I pop off, Denzel Curry comes, flies me out with Timbaland and everything. But no, it doesn't happen, right? They like it, people follow you on Instagram, people listen to your music, but at the end of the day, you still wake up the next day and you're just the same person as you were yesterday. So it took me, that was in 2020, and it's taken me 5 years to really build up myself as a person and really be full-time in music. So from there, I finished my master's in chemistry. I got out of there as soon as humanly possible. And I started just tutoring freelance chemistry. I was just like, I don't care what I do. I'll tutor high school kids. I'll tutor middle school kids, and not university kids because they're super cheap and they don't show up to anything. And from there, I just always stayed active. I released my music. I always was active on Instagram. I always wanted to be a person that stood out in the music scene. And I didn't know how I would stand out until I realized that because of my education and my background, I wake up early and I answer emails on time and I'm detailed in my notes. And that eventually led me to getting a job at a music startup company. They reached out to a bunch of content creators, me included. I was just on YouTube making videos and tutorials, and they wanted me to talk about how I felt about their DAW they were making. They weren't looking to hire anyone. It was a one-time contract. I think they paid me like $400 to just use it and then give them feedback. But I gave them a ton of detailed feedback. Then they let me know they were in Montreal, and I said, hey, I'm going to be in Montreal next week visiting my cousins or whatever. Let's grab a beer or something. And then I did, and I just told them about my life and my story, and eventually they ended up hiring me on contract. I made content for them, I made music for them, I continued my artist project. I was there for 2 years, and as of November, they sort of just fizzed out. I promise it wasn't my fault. Maybe it was my fault, I don't know. And from there, it was like super scary. It's like the rug gets pulled out beneath your feet. Like I always felt like I was making a living off of music at that time, but it was still 9 to 5 in a way, and I was still doing my artist project. So I've done a lot of stuff to try and make it work full time, but since November is when I really realized like how focused you need to be to make it happen. And you guys have a lot of questions. I'm not just gonna keep blabbing, but yeah.
This is great.
Yeah.
I think I guess what I would like to know is, what does that look like in terms of like the revenue side of things?
Yeah, so I'm not like really an optimist dreamer. Like I don't talk in like big words. Like I'll be very real with you in exactly what happens. And if you want to ask me like super detailed questions, I will answer them 100%. But basically, I make money in like 5 different ways. Number one is my artist project, right? I have I think 6 million streams at this point. Over the course of the 5 years, I have monthly listeners. I have a record label that pays me and takes a ton of my money from that. And that doesn't make that much money. I'll be real with you. It's like maybe $600 to $700 a month on a good month, and then like 200, 100 on a bad month, right? And of course, bad month, making any money through your music is a good month, right? So the second is I've sold sample packs. I've made sample packs with my friends. I've just put them out on Gumroad and PayHip and Shopify and all the like entrepreneur like things, videos. I've watched it. I've also made my own merch that I've sold. And then I also work with a publisher. I don't know if you guys were here last week or last month for Simon, but basically publishing is the side of music that you don't really see, but you hear everywhere, right? Movies, TV, video games, everything, that is dealt with on the publishing side. And so I work with this publisher called NinjaTune. NinjaTune is in the UK, and I basically make a bunch of music for them that they want. They want uplifting hip hop music, they want like drum and bass music. I make it, I give it to them, and they try and get it into different places. Like I like watching Counter-Strike. I'm a little degenerate like that, but like it's fun. And my music was in the Counter-Strike like ESL pro scene. So in Katowice in Poland, there's a stadium, there's 20,000 people, and I hear one of my songs play. And that moment was like insane. And then people ask me, is the song out? No, it's not. It's just in publishing and it's unreleased, and that's how that sort of side works. When you watch Love is Blind and you hear someone say something really rude, like they say, you're fat, and then the song goes, you're fat, right? That's all publishing. People make custom songs for TV and movies and stuff. The other side is Sync, and Sync is strictly commercials and advertising. I work with about 5 different audio houses in Toronto and Montreal, and they give me jobs like, here's a KFC advertisement, here's the actual ad, we want a hip hop song to this, make it, right? And I'm one of maybe 8 people that they send this to. I make it, sometimes I land it, sometimes I don't. They pay me if I don't land it, a couple $100. But if I do land it, the range is like $1,000 to $11,000, right? And so that's actual money that I can pay my bills with. This is not like, oh, I'm an artist and I'm touring and everything. And so an artist at my level, which like, to be honest, is pretty small in the grand scheme of the hip hop sphere, right? In electronic music, people can make it full time with 50,000 monthly listeners, right? So yeah, that's like my day-to-day life and like how I actually make money.
So I guess my follow-up question is, so I'm kind of under the assumption that your artist profile, your sample packs, and your merch is the amount of revenue will be attributed to how much you put into, I guess, your marketing, social media. I'm under that assumption. So I guess my question, because you mentioned sync licensing and publishing, how did you get that gig?
Yeah, so I think this brings to the broader question of, like, if I was watching me talk right now, I'd be like, how does that apply to me, right? And the big picture is that I understand what my value is and I don't budge on it. And that started with when I won the Kenny Beats battle. I got a ton of requests to be a producer, like send me your beats, send me this, send me that. And it doesn't matter if I'm making music or I'm just DJing or I'm doing whatever, even if I'm a freelance graphic designer, people will pigeonhole you by putting you in different boxes, right? And in the hip hop industry, that means that you're an uncredited producer, that they pay you a flat amount, and then that's about it, right? You get the little 3 dots on Spotify, you scroll all the way down, and then there's the name, no link, right? But what I insisted on from the start was being an artist, and the word artist is, it doesn't mean anything. It just means that you want credit for your work, which should be the baseline, if I'm being honest, right? Doesn't matter if you're a DJ, it doesn't matter if you're whatever. If you're DJing for a wedding, put your name out there and say that you are your brand, right? That is who you are. And I have plenty of friends that are amazing musicians, way better than I am. I can't play the piano. I play it like really badly, and guitar. When my grandma asks me what instrument I play, I can't say like the MacBook Pro, right? Like, but it's true. And I'm not the best at it, but what I can do is advocate for myself. And what they like is, they're like, hey, I recognize that guy's name from somewhere. I don't know where it is, but I recognize it from somewhere, right? And that's how all my opportunities have come about. I've done hundreds of cold emails that haven't gotten responses, and then I get a DM from someone who I emailed who didn't even see my original email, and they just liked it because they knew my music from somewhere else, right?
Is there, on topic of creating music for brands, is there any way that you balance with creating what you love and creating what somebody needs?
Yeah, so I think the main thing here is that you can't think about it too much, especially if you want music to be your full-time career. It's really a game about volume and not about quality in a lot of the time, right? If I work on my artist project 8 hours a day and then I get a sync brief and the turnaround is 16 hours, I'm going to be so exhausted that I can't even get to making it something like amazing, right? And at the same time, if I spend 16 hours straight making a song for McDonald's, more often than not, it will not land because I'll just like pigeon cycle down like the mental hole of, is this good enough? No, it's not. Like, I need to do more. I need to do less. I need to take that out. What I do now is I spend 30 minutes. I do 30 minutes, one demo, and another one, 30 minutes, one demo. I don't think, I just do it, do whatever like I feel like. And that allows me to be mentally clear for the rest of my day. But also, surprisingly, it works. It works a lot better than you would expect. You just trust your gut and don't try and think too hard about it.
Is there any way that you dealt with like creative blocks?
Yeah. No matter what people tell you, creative blocks, there's only one way to get through a creative block, and it's to go like head first right through it. So basically, I've tried the whole like, okay, meditate, right? Like find your core and figure it out. I've tried the whole like, try a new thing, like go learn how to solder or whatever, do Lego, right? And whenever I come back, where am I? I'm in the exact same place I was before, because like as you guys are, as musicians and artists, we're very sensitive and we're very like our personalities out. And so when we feel like we're failing in music, we feel like we're failing as people, right? And so the only way to do that is to ignore all of your own personal issues and your own like negative thoughts and just like run straight through the wall, right? I just put on a timer and 10 minutes, crappy beat, 10 minutes, crappy beat, 10 minutes mix, mash up, right? Like 10 minutes, sometimes I just like wanna go on YouTube and listen to like stuff. And I'll tell you what, music videos on YouTube, like videos related to making music and DJing are super boring, right? Like I just wanna watch like woodworking videos on YouTube and not actual music related stuff. So you just put yourself in a position where no matter what happens, you are creating, you're generating, and you're getting inspiration, and you just go right through it.
Circling back to your artist profile and making revenue from merch and sample packs, like, I guess what I want to ask is, what does it take to really get that going? Like the importance of having a consistent social media, like is that basically what it takes? Like posting every day, having viral moments or whatever?
Yeah, I will say, sorry, I keep going on tangents because I think of more important things to say, but
Please don't change.
the number one thing relating to social media and all of that is that I thought I could do everything myself, right? I'm very much a person that, like, if something gets done, I want to do it myself. If I want to paint my walls, I'm gonna paint my walls myself. If I'm gonna, you know, if I want to mod my Switch, I'll just learn how to do it myself. But social media has always just been super abrasive with me. I'm just such a guy that I get super imposter syndrome-y. I just really hate putting myself out there, and I really hate pretending to be who I'm not. So I hired someone to do it for me, right? Like, and it's money that I think is very well spent, even though it's money going out of my pocket. Um, and so that's social media. That's why I'm able to post so often, is because I send them videos, they deal with it, and they post it for me. Because personally, I just don't like doing it. I know a lot of people that like doing social media, but they don't like making music, right? And sometimes they'll just, instead of making music themselves, they'll always collab with a friend, right? So offloading as much as you can and just focusing on the things that you really like is super important.
How have you found that that translates to either streams or
Yeah.
merch sales or sample sales?
Yeah, so sample packs are the lowest hanging fruit, I would say. If you're someone that is a DJ and someone, like, I'm curious, how many of you want to be a producer? Like, raise of hands. Right. Quite a few. How many of you only want to be a DJ? Yeah, and that's completely fine, right? But the point being is that there's always a low-hanging fruit, and if you're a producer, sample packs are pretty low-hanging fruit. You just need to collect sounds that you think are really cool, put them in a pack, and advertise it as something. Now, the people that do the best on sample pack sales are not the most famous artists. They're the people that are really good at meta ad manager, right? You see the videos and it's like, oh, are you really crap at playing the piano? Like, well, I'm Swedish and like I'm good, so like you can buy my pack. And I bought his pack, right? Like it works. Is the guy a famous producer? No. Does he tour? No. But like he sold a really good sample pack. Merch, that's just me. Like I really like bounce around ideas. I wanted to make merch. I really hate the quality of Gildan t-shirts and stuff. Everything I'm wearing is Uniqlo. I'm sure there's a lot of Uniqlo in here. I'm not gonna lie. So I decided to do it myself. I sourced my own t-shirts. I like ordered samples. I learned screen printing. I went to Staples and did the negative and everything. And it was a ton of time and effort, and it got me like maybe $2,000 in one day, and none of it was really from my followers on Instagram. It was from all of the people in my Discord and my Twitch who are like probably like pitying me and just want to like support me, but it's people that I actually interacted with on a daily basis. Because let's be honest, like if I'm on Instagram and I really like Sammy Vergi, right? He's a producer, UK Garage, he's touring and doing everything. He sold a t-shirt. I love his music. I listen to his music every day. I'm not buying his t-shirt, right? Maybe if I go to his show and I feel this connection to the person, am I gonna buy his t-shirt and feel like I wanna put some monetary value behind it? But social media isn't there for you to sell merch. Social media is there as a billboard of being like, this is who I am. If you Google me, this is me, right? Do you want to trust me or do you not want to trust me? Do you want to book me or not, right?
Question. Okay, so that's interesting you say that because from my understanding of marketing, particularly for musicians, but I think this applies to all businesses, in terms of making money from, let's say, fans, and I'd like your opinion on this. Generally, how it goes is, as you said, social media is like a billboard. It's your top of funnel, as they say. And then the important part is getting your fans to somewhere else where you can nurture them. And those are generally the fans that will buy from you, whether it's tickets or merch or whatever. Has that been your experience?
Yeah.
You said Discord, so I'm assuming.
Yeah, exactly. So one thing I will say is that with the social media thing, I took the hardest way possible, which is I tried to skip every step and become Diplo or whatever, right? I didn't do the local scene, I didn't do the DJing and the networking and everything like that and make my way up. I tried to skip all the way to the top. if I would go back, I would definitely start in Toronto and with the people that I know around me, right? You guys are here. You know me, you know how I talk. Maybe you follow me on Instagram, maybe you don't, but you can never really know me or care about me until we're here chatting and it's casual, right? And we're connecting. So that's what I tried to do with Discord, where basically I built a community around people who can actually get to know me personally. And have you guys watched America's Got Talent? Yeah, America's Got Talent. Yeah. You know that none of it actually is about skill. It's about the crazy sob story that they play for like hours before you actually see the audition. It's about the lady with the dog, and the dog has 3 legs, and it jumps and does a flip, right? And that's the one that wins. And that's the same with you, right? People don't really care about the music. I could be a graphic designer, and I still feel like I would be in the same position in a graphic design sense that I would be now, because it's more about my own story, right? So for the longest time, I was the guy that won the Kenny Beats battle. I was the guy that showed up on Twitch and like did the cool thing, and Timbaland liked my beats and stuff. And for the longest time, that allowed me to get a really tight-knit community on Discord. I would stream on Twitch, I would listen to their music, they'd buy my merch, they'd buy my sample packs. But then as soon as I stopped doing anything like that, it would slowly fade away because it needed constant upkeep, because that was my brand. I was the guy online. Since then, I've completely flipped around, and I'm half Asian, but not a lot of people know that about me because I'm super white, right? I grew up in Asia 18 years of my life, and I'm ginger, right? So now I'm half Asian, half ginger. That's my brand. Because honestly, that tells you more about me and who I am as a person than the bedroom producer guy, because there's a million bedroom producers, and there's probably, like, let's be real, like there's at least one of me, and he works for a company on Instagram, and he looks exactly, it's freaky.
On that topic, actually, like, can you tell us what helps you with networking with people? Like, how do you approach artists and creatives?
Yeah. Yeah, so I say yes to everything, and that means like want to go to this bar at night, and you're like, I'm brushing my teeth. Hey, we can get you backstage at Rebel. Do you want? This happened last week. I hated it. 10 p.m. I'm brushing my teeth. I want to go to sleep, and one of my friends drives by my house and says like, we're going to Rebel, and we're gonna be backstage and meet Arm & Hammer or whatever, right? And I really did not want to, but I went, and I made a ton of really good connections, and I'm super glad I went. When I'm networking with you guys, the only reason I'm here is because I bothered my friend who lives in San Francisco, who is from Mississauga. I said, do you know anyone in Toronto? And he says, yeah, I know one guy, his name's Fabio. Where's Fabio? It's a Fabio somewhere out there. And then I poked Fabio and I said, hey, do you want to help me with this thing I'm throwing at Bardem? I didn't know him. I had no idea who he is. I found a DJ on LinkedIn, and I messaged him on Instagram, and I just made music with him earlier, right? I'm like super annoying, and I'm super unapologetically just like, hey, I want to work with you for us to be better together, but I'm also not gonna be fake. This is not like business, this is not finance. Like, I'm me, I'm just gonna be me. And if we're not like friend compatible, then it doesn't work, right? But yeah, LinkedIn is, I'm not kidding you, my #1 way of networking right now. I add every single, like if you want real advice, real life advice, I go on LinkedIn, search DJ, producer, music supervisor, whatever, connect. Everyone in Toronto, right? In Toronto is specific. Then I send them my little thing. I made my own website. I do like, hey, I'm from Toronto, blah, blah, blah. Like 80% of them just leave it on red. Because why wouldn't you? I look like I'm like a bot or something, like the most useless scam bot of all time. But the 20% that do reply to me are real people. They're like you, right? There's so many people that work a 9 to 5 and have their LinkedIn, but they end up wanting to be a musician, and they are important people in the music industry, right? And that's where they are. They're on LinkedIn. They're not on Instagram. They're maybe looking for talent. But you know who else is on Instagram? My aunt. And like, I'm sorry, there's like a million aunties on Instagram that I can't connect with, and it's super hard to sift through. But when I'm meeting someone in a business sense, in a professional sense, I go and get coffee with them in person, if possible. I chat with them webcam, face to face. and then I just introduce myself and I tell them like, hey, I'm open for whatever you want. I just want to be present in the Toronto scene. And my goal is for people, enough people, to be like, hey, do you know Michael? It's like, yeah, how do you know him? Oh, he sent me that really scammy thing on LinkedIn. It's like, oh, actually, it wasn't a scam. He's a nice guy, and blah, 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 right? So if anyone asks you, yeah, that'd be great. So yeah, networking, I hate it. I'm a homebody. I like staying at home and playing video games and making music, and yeah, exactly. And but I'm doing this because this is the life I chose, right?
Any tips that you would give us as gamers to start marketing like ourselves as artists?
Yeah. So first things first is like get rid of the word artist. Like sure, use it as a technicality so people understand it. You guys are people trying to be creative and make it work in the world, right? If you're in marketing or you're in finance, right? You have your role, like you're a managing brand manager or whatever, right? You're a businessman. Fuck, I don't know. And there's like 100 roles in your company, and each one is an individual thing. But in music, you're an artist or you're below an artist, realistically, right? Because everything revolves around this idea of an artist, right? It's not like that. It is tiered and it's stacked up. Like what point can you say I'm an artist and you're not an artist, right? I have 1,000 monthly listeners, you have 500. Okay, what happens when the guy with 2,000 shows up, right? So if you're branding yourself, and the word brand is being thrown around a lot, right? What does that actually mean? Brand isn't some fake persona you make up. It's not a company that you're doing. If you really want to do this in the long term, your brand has to just be you. Now, what that means for you, and you can go and do this, right? Everybody can go home tonight and do this. You're gonna write 10 interesting things about you, right? And they don't have to be like interesting in the sense of like, oh, like I'm missing an arm or whatever. Just literally like, I'm really good at League of Legends or something like that. Yeah. All right, I'm not talking to you anymore, man. Just list 10 things that are important to you and ask a friend which one they think matters, which one they think is actually interesting. For me, my fiance just kind of told me that people don't care that you won the Kenny Beats battle. Producers care, but people don't really care. But what is interesting is my story growing up and you know living in Asia and doing this and that, right? No one cares about my Ableton screen when I'm making content because what does that mean? I might as well be showing you a calculator. Sure, I'm proud of it. I spent 30 hours on this track, but no one really cares. All I do is my face. I'm like, ha ha ha. I'm pretending to play the keyboard. Now you guys know I'm not actually pretending to play it, right? And it's me like reacting. And that does way, way better because it's you, right? Now, if you don't like showing your face and you don't like being, you know, necessarily yourself, you can put on a persona. And putting on a persona is super useful for people like Daft Punk and Deadmau5, and many people have made it work. I just can't make it work because my brain is too single-minded. I have to just be myself, and it takes too much work to pretend. So branding isn't about finding something that you can, some pocket you can fit into. It's just looking at yourself and cutting out all the stuff that's not interesting, basically.
What helps you? What are the ideas that help you actually market yourself? Like, do you gain any inspiration from other artists, or like, do you gain any inspiration from like Instagram posts? You know?
Yeah, so like I don't consume social media that often because it sucks me in and I doom scroll and I feel bad about myself, right? I have like a ton of people muted on my Instagram. They're my personal friends. I love them. I wish them all the best. But when I see them succeed, it makes me feel like crap, right? And this is just imposter syndrome speaking. Now, does this mean I need to be holier than thou and like no, it just means I need to use the techniques that work for me so that I can survive, right? I can survive when I don't go on Instagram, when I don't go on TikTok. I just go through YouTube Shorts like a weirdo, right? Like I don't know anyone that. But what that allows me to do is my content is different than other people. The content that does make it to me throughout the mess of stuff is the stuff that actually I find interesting, right? You will never catch me making a video at night at a gas station, like walking back and forth and being like, this song was for her and stuff like that. Because for me, that's just like insanely cringe. But it works. Like millions of people watch that, and sometimes they're dead serious. Like that is their personality. But for me, that doesn't work, and I'm never gonna try and do that. Maybe I'll try it once. I don't know. Do you guys want me to try? So at the end of the day, it's basically you have to do what works for you because it's a really, really long game, and you need to do this every day for like the rest of your life. So you better only do what you don't cringe at yourself, basically.
All right, so while we're on this topic then, because there are a bunch of us here, we have a bunch of different goals in this room, a bunch of different, all walks of life. Um, and obviously where you're at now is definitely like a goal for a lot of us here. So for, would you, do you have any like must-dos or avoids that you have for us?
Yeah, I think I'm learning a lot right now. Like, for example, I'm doing a talk in Toronto. I've been in music for 5 years. I peaked at 100,000 monthly listeners. I thought friggin' Porter Robinson was gonna come cradle me away into the music industry. And it didn't happen, right? And I was like, what the hell, right? Like, I played shows in Los Angeles, I played in San Francisco, and I'm like, woo. But what I didn't do was connect with Toronto. I live here. What do I do on a day-to-day basis? I can look out and see many people that I know now that I didn't know since November that have allowed me to be so much more inspired and so much more motivated and feel like it's a living, breathing thing in this city. So the number one thing I would say is like look local, right? Like look at your friends. Even if your friends are not famous or whatever, you need to look at them as if they will be in the future, and you can tell based on how motivated they are, right? You can always rely on your friends to help you out. If I'm making a music video, I'm not going to contact the best videographer I know because he's friggin' expensive. I'll probably like contact people I've met, right? And like Quentin, I met him at the Lunar New Year party, and we just chatted and we had a great time. He's super sick at video, right? And now I have that connection, and I have the friend in him that I can go and work with, and just try and work together to make my way up. The other thing is honestly like just really don't try and do everything yourself. Offload all the responsibility that you can that makes sense for you, and like really make sure that you're doing the things that you want to and you can for a really long time. Yeah.
How are we doing on time? 5 minutes. 5 minutes? Okay. Let's end on this then. Well, actually, I want to ask two questions. So, second last question. Any advice for juggling a day job while doing this shit?
Yeah. So yeah, so like I did my master's in chemistry, and it was a lot of, like I set up a reaction and I'd walk away and I'd just set it up so that it does itself, and then I make music on my table, and then I hear my prof's keys like opening the door, and I switch tabs, right? And that was super unsustainable. I was like depressed, right? Like it sucked. You need to figure out a way for your day job to not take your mental energy away. Like there's two types of jobs. There's ones that take your physical energy away and those that take your mental energy away. Now you would think that like working as a waitress is taking your physical and not mental energy, but trust me, like it drains you mentally even if you think so. So what you need to do is make sure that your mental energy is preserved so that you can actually work on music when you have time. To do that, that's gonna depend on how you work. For me, I just honestly had to like remember when to not care about work during the day. I'd go on YouTube or whatever, right? I'd just get my work done and I'd let myself have a break. During lunch, I'm not answering emails. After 5 o'clock, I'm not answering your Slack message, okay? So that means that when I do finish work, I don't feel as mentally drained and I can work on music. The other thing is music has to be fun for you. Music for 3 years was not fun for me. I hated making music. I never made music. I didn't have demos that I wanted to send people. And it's because I turned it into this job. At this point, I was not making much money off of music at all. But mentally, I put so much importance into it that I couldn't relax when I made music anymore. And so it was just, I didn't listen to music. I didn't make music at all. And the thing that broke me out of that was collaborating with my friends. Collaborating with my friends means that they can inspire me, I can have a good time, we can eat pizza or whatever, and just make music and not worry too much about it. And that's where the good results come in. Even now, full-time music job, 90% of it is networking. The other 10% making music is with my friends. And then at home, I honestly just play video games, right? Like, because I need my own time. So, yeah.
And one last question, because you've had quite a journey over the span of 5 years, 5 or 6 years. If you were to do it all over, what are the top 3 things that you would do differently?
Number one would be to establish my brand, whatever that means, right? Like, figure out what you are and who you enjoy being, and have that as your front-facing personality. Number two is something that I already do and I did from the start, is you need to be your own person that people can recognize, right? For me, in that case, that was, I insist on having my name as one of the title names on a song because I made the song. Like, what the hell, right? And so that means that now when I go into a room, people know that I expect that. And like, for example, I'm working with a rapper, DJ SB. They were just 2 times Juno nominated for Rap Album and Dance Record of the Year. And we have a 5-track EP coming out. I walked into the room with a laptop and some beats. I played them, they rapped on them, and now my name is on there 50-50. That means I get 50% of master royalties. I didn't talk much about that, but don't worry about it. I get 50% of that. I get way more in my rights, and I get way more name recognition because I insisted on being recognized and like putting myself out there. Number 3 would be just look around you in Toronto. Don't try and go so global immediately. Don't try and find the best possible person to work with in LA or whatever, right? Just go hang out with your friends and do stupid shit and just make music and just like work with each other. Be like, hey, do you know how to record this? Yeah, you record it, you bob your head and you press the keys, right? Like, just look around you and encourage your friends to be there for you. And
Thanks, Memblem. You clearly like had a really, really long journey and you've accomplished a lot. I mean, 36,000 monthly listeners and like what you say is like 6 million, one of them's at 6 million streams, but like you are still so real about it, you know. I feel like you're not you're not this snobby artist that I don't know, in my head sometimes I'm like, oh, like over 20,000 monthly listeners, they must be snobby, but like you seem really cool, and like you're also as introverted as I feel like most of us are, just introverted nerds. So I thank you for just like being real. Like I feel like I relate to you a lot, and it's inspiring because it feels like okay, I struggle with this shit too. I'm sure a bunch of us struggle with this shit too. But the fact that you're already up there and you're growing, it just makes us feel that.
yeah, thank you. And like, this is my brand, right? I'm imposing my brand upon you right now because I'm just being me. I'm trying, like, for me, it's being authentic. It's being okay to be like super geeky or whatever, and it's just like just talking openly. That's my whole thing.